1992, where I started as an engineer. My very first evening shift here was somewhat exciting, as within half an hour of arriving on the site, there was a Buckholz alarm on one of the senders, followed by a Buckholz trip, which took out the HT transformer had failed. And the engineer who was in charge, and he'd been there for 20 years, took one look at it and said, "Never seen one of those before." So it was a bit of a baptism by fire.
Well, there's some of the team who keep Woofferton ticking, but who looks after the engineers? Well, here's the answer.
Hello, my name is Sarah Lovelock. I am the office manager, but I never always was the office manager. I started here 34 years ago, and I started as a cook, helping out in the kitchen, but I was very, very young, so I was never on my own in the kitchen. And then my first job was making scones, which I still do to this day, 34 years later. From there, I went to do GMA. Then from GMA, I went back to in the kitchen, helped the riggers down the field with the insulators. One of my memories in the kitchen was in the early years, everyone was segregated. So the bosses had a table, the managers had a table. So there were some young engineers, but they weren't allowed on the senior engineers' table. And that was how life was in those days. And you always, when you were spoken to, you were always very polite, which obviously I still am now. But in those days, you always called everybody sir, and that was how it was done. And if they had a job that was in authority, you took them their tea and their dinner and their cake and their afternoon break on a tray into their own room. So when I first started, my first boss was Dave Green, who was lovely, but unfortunately he's no longer here. I then had Peter Loveday, who I got on really well with and still have a lot to do with him today, and Barry Elding, which everybody will know. He was my boss for quite a while, and he obviously saw something in me, because from the early years of being a chef and a GMA, I now am the office manager at Woofferton, which I love, and I look after all of the engineers, young and old. We do even have a consultant's chair in the office for anybody that's feeling down or just needs a little chat. I'm always here to help everybody. It's not just a job, it's my life.
This is Woofferton at 80, a special transmission by Encompass Digital Media, a global managed services provider connecting broadcasters with audiences. For more information, find us on the web at encompass.tv/radio.
I've heard that 1,000 times over the years, but it still brings back fond memories. Hi, I'm Rick Rowe, and I was based at Woofferton from 1991 to 2021, when I retired after almost 40 years service. I have nothing but fond memories and admiration for the team of people that ran the station. Woofferton delivered on every front, providing a first-class shortwave service for our customers. I was in charge of the station for a short while, during which we started to diversify and brought new services into the station via satellite, something which was quite new at the time. This started to phase away the use of the old BT lines. I was also involved with the new generation of shortwave DRM transmitters made by RIS. Now, they were quite a step forward in terms of technology and complexity, and fault-finding techniques had to be honed in, as they were quite new to us. But over a short period of time, our skilled engineers soon mastered what was required, and we even improved the performance of them over time, and they performed to an exceptional level. And Woofferton's SLA performance was absolutely top-notch. Latterly, Woofferton moved on again with the times and engaged new technology, becoming an important satellite earth station and program distribution hub via high-speed fibres. This required the staff to take on new skills, and they adapted as they always do. But as in all successful companies and organisations, the most important thing is your staff, and I salute you all with your utmost skill, professionalism, and above all, the friendly, team-orientated approach which shines. And everyone that ever visits Woofferton will say that. It's a wonderful station, and I salute you all, and I look forward to coming to the 100th. Take care.
I'm Sandy Ross, and for 33 years, between 1979 and 2012, I was a transmitter engineer at Woofferton. When I started, there were 6 250 kilowatt Marconi BD272 transmitters, and installation of a further 4 300 kilowatt Marconi B6124 transmitters was just about to start. The schedule in 1979 was very busy in the evening and overnight. During the day, there was only a 2-hour maintenance break when there were no transmissions. We operated a 3-shift system, days, evenings and nights, and there was 5 engineering staff on each shift. 3 engineers were designated either aerial engineer, control room engineer or transmitter engineer. The aerial engineer's duties were to manually slew or reverse the scheduled aerial, and as some were almost a mile from the site, he, and it was all men at that time, was provided with a bike. During a nice summer's night, it was probably the best job in the world, cycling round in the pitch dark, listening to the local wildlife. But of course, wintry nights were not nearly so pleasant. Sometimes you could be out on your bike for over an hour, and often you would receive a radio clear from the GSE and be expected, with the use of a long pole, to manually slew an antenna in the 30-second switching period prior to the programme start. That made you sweat. The transmitter engineer's job was either feast or famine. When the senders were on power, he became very proficient at doing the Times or Telegraph crossword, unless of course the EIC was hovering close by. However, during the switching period, he may well have to change the frequency and retune several transmitters all within the 30 seconds. Sometimes the SME may have come out of his office to lend a hand. During the switching period, the control room engineer would be manually selecting and checking senders were selected to the correct program chain and aerial. For many years, I was branch secretary of our trade union, which I found very interesting. Our local industrial relations were usually very amicable. One incident that sticks in my mind was during a local liaison meeting in 2001, when the door was flung open and the engineer blurted out that 2 aeroplanes had crashed into the Twin Towers. Of course, it wasn't all work, and there were some real jokers amongst the staff, swapping someone's lunchbox hard-boiled egg for a fresh egg, or soldering shut another's tin lunchbox.
And I think there's plenty more stories like that. That was Sandy Ross, another former senior engineer at Woofferton. Well, let's finish now with a few more fond memories and good wishes for the future.